What's cooking, Keto fam? It's Friday at 5, so you know what that means. It's time for Is Vodka Keto. Hey everyone, I'm your host, John Terry, here with my beautiful co-host and mother, Geri Terry.
Something just doesn't feel right, JT.
You know, Mom, I was thinking the same thing. Why don't we slip into something a little more comfortable?
Let's.
Oh, shit! How did we get here?
Dan! It must be magic!
It must be.
Whoa, 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 it's magic! You know! Okay, so.
And we are here with Nicole, and we are going to make some keto cheddar biscuits.
Cheddar biscuits, yes we are. Okay, well, the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to take actually the bowl off and put it in front of us so everybody can see. And we're using the KitchenAid because it's easy and amazing. But if you don't have a KitchenAid, you can do it by hand with a spatula. Easy, easy peasy. So what we're going to do in my cooking buddy here, Nicole, you want to say hi to the...
Hello, it's Nicole. I'm cooking with Geri and John.
Woo! Okay, I'm going to put in our baking mix.
You can send it to me.
Oh, okay. I'm going to put in the larger amount of garlic powder. That's 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. So we're going to put that in on top of the baking mix. And we're going to put in the baking powder as well. So I'll wait a second for everybody to catch up.
Thank you. 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. Okay. I lost your sound.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Oh, I got your back. Okay, it's back.
Okay. I know exactly what that's...
Talking. Maybe nobody was saying anything. And baking powder is going to be 2.5 teaspoons.
You know what? I bumped it up a little bit because you don't taste it and it gives it a little more rise. So I use just a scant tablespoon.
Got it.
We'd have to Urban Dictionary for everybody what scant means.
I know. I love using scant. I'm not going to lie. I love it. And it confuses everybody. It's great.
Recipes, but they use it all the time. Now we're just going to kind of mix it up. You can use your fingers, you can use a fork, but you just want to kind of get all your garlic and baking powder and everything kind of incorporated. Okay, then we're going to take our cheese.
1.5 cups.
1.5 cups. Now, you know, there are some recipes that you have to be very precise. You know, there are some people that say, oh, baking's so precise. Well, and it is, you know, it depends on what you're making. But if you put in 1 3/4 cups of cheese, that would not necessarily be a bad thing either. It just depends on how cheesy you like it.
Okay.
But in something like that, if you want extra cheese, you throw in a little extra cheese.
Because we're not relying on the cheese for the dough, as you do in some ketogenic recipes, right?
Exactly.
You know, your mixes.
And another thing about shredded cheese is that we should always shred our own. The stuff in the bags is great. And I do use it, so I don't want anybody feeling no. But it's quick, it's easy. But if you're really,
if you can
do it yourself. I get it in 3-pound blocks at Costco, and I'll usually just do the whole 3 pounds and then keep it in the fridge, and we go through it so fast I don't have to worry about it going bad or anything like that.
Also, where are you from, Nicole?
Oh, we're in Chicago here, guys.
Oh, nice.
Okay, nice.
So we a grocery store down here that has I think it's called raw cheese. It's basically cheese, but it's in they're like starting to be.
Oh, okay. The cheese without the.
Yeah, because the reason
The powder.
that's better.
Yeah.
Oh, that's yeah. Okay, so we're gonna throw this in and kind of just mix it around. Okay, go on with your cheese.
Yeah, no, they just have a cheese brand. I think that they're out of California, and we find them in HEB. But if you look around, like sometimes you'll see the cheese that doesn't have, because it's cornstarch, or they'll use like most of the pre-shredded cheeses use some kind of a starch to prevent the cheese from sticking together. So if you're depending on which grocery store you shop at, you might be able to find some pre-shredded cheese that doesn't have the starch in it, which is the best. But also, you get what you can find, and sometimes, especially when you're doing a recipe like cheddar biscuits, where you want it to be done in 15 minutes, it's like, okay, well, I'd like for it to be done in 15 minutes. But
so the professional chef, who's all about her mise en place, forgot to do her cream. So I'm pulling it. This
measuring out
this
the
is
cream.
a lot like real life, guys.
That's what editing is for.
Okay.
And honestly, the food processor chops up the blocks of cheese very nicely. Because sometimes I scrape a knuckle and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm buying the shredded cheese. But then, I could just not be lazy and pull out the food processor too.
So when we first started, we would make cheese straws ourselves. And the cheese straws, we hand shred all the cheese. We've gone through we went through a couple food processors during that time, because it was just like.
Because we did so much. We would take, the paint buckets that they have in Home Depot, I would fill, 4 or 5 of them
with shredded
cheese on cheese straw days.
And then we had these big long jerky guns, and you'd sit there and just hand squeeze it out for
oh goodness.
Yeah. And when we first started,
these are the reason why I have arthritis in my hands, because
I know you got arthritis, you got ripped. I feel like that's typical for men and females. Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. I'll get focused again. Okay.
Okay. All right. Focus. Now we're going to put in the cream.
Okay.
So.
Into a well in the center.
Yeah, but since we're using, yes, I always do that. But honestly, since we're using the paddle on the KitchenAid, if you're doing it by hand, you definitely want to do that. But in the KitchenAid, it's not as critical, shall I say?
We did 1.5. I should check.
1.5.
Okay.
Now I'm going to put it in the KitchenAid. I cannot do. Yep. There you go. Not cooperating with me, right? All right. Put it on real low to start with.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna put it on real low until the flour isn't flying all over the place.
Since we have the luxury of being on the stand.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there we go. Get a little closer.
Now I'm gonna crank it up to about 3 until all of the stuff at the bottom goes into the ball. Probably be a little bit of like flour in the bottom, but we're going to put that on here and knead it a little bit. So that's pretty much.
Okay.
All together. Is yours all together? Do you want to?
All together.
Cool.
No, mine appears to be together.
Just sprinkle a little bit of extra mix. It's not absolutely necessary. It does keep it from. I think the recipe on the blog, I say save out a tablespoon, but I forgot.
No, I had some in the bag there. It was perfect.
Perfect.
There you go. All right. There you go. Getting the rest of that.
All right.
And bring this back over here.
Okay. You might should bring that a little closer so my hands are visible, you think?
I mean, your hands are visible on there. I don't. This doesn't get tall enough to.
Yeah, I guess not. All right, now I'm just going to dump it out on the counter. All right, what we're going to do is knead it a couple of times. Are you familiar with kneading? Like you are.
I guess in my version of kneading, I think I'm kneading. I push, fold and push.
So you're just kind of getting everything all incorporated. You don't want to knead it for too long because otherwise biscuits get tough.
Okay.
I think that's probably good. You just don't want to have you don't want to have parts that are like falling off because there's a little dry stuff, underneath them. You kind of want to get it all incorporated. Fold. All right. Now you can do this by hand, or you can do this with a rolling pin.
Okay.
I have a rolling pin.
I have a rolling pin here.
Perfect. And I will grab my rolling pin because that makes it easier.
Okay.
Now I'm just going to roll this out into a rectangle. And what I've learned is that if you make round biscuits, obviously they look lovely, but if you cut them all out with a knife and make square biscuits, you don't have anything left over. You don't have anything getting tough. So that is how I'm going to do it if you have a knife that you can use to cut them.
I have it, and I can't even believe that it sounds so simple. I mean, you always get those two deformed biscuits or cookies at the end or they're tough because you squeezed it together so many times.
Yeah. Refuse to let that, you're not going to throw that last little bit away.
I can never throw it away. I'll pick the driest biscuit nugget to not just throw a piece of dough away.
Yep, no, I absolutely can't either.
So brilliant that we could do square and just do that. That's fantastic. How thick am I going?
I worked at a restaurant and I said, why don't we do this? Because you're making a lot of biscuits in a restaurant, so there's a lot of redoing the biscuits. And everybody was like, oh no, nobody's going to like it. I'm like, they'll like it better if it tastes good, right? So I think they did. I don't remember actually. I think they did eventually do it square bound. It was probably Alton Brown that I was like, Alton Brown does it.
Right. So it must be good.
Yeah, exactly.
This is helping me too. This piece of plastic, it's like my scraper.
That's perfect. Yeah, and just what I usually do is just kind of bang it up on the sides a little bit. So you've got nice edges.
How thick, how thick should I roll the dough out? I'm sorry. How thick should I have the dough rolled out? How is it? Let me see.
How's that looking, Mom? Can you see?
Let's see here. Let me. About an inch.
What is that?
About an inch. About an inch thick.
Okay.
It's like one knuckle on your thumb.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, thank you. I like the knuckle measurement. The knuckles made another appearance. Okay.
All right, then we're going to cut down the middle. How are we going to do this? We're going to cut down the middle short ways.
Okay.
And that'll just give you an idea of where the center is, so your biscuits are generally the same size.
Okay.
I also, what I got when I went to culinary school, and I've had this for many, many years, and I bring it to every restaurant that I work in. This is called a bicycle.
What is that?
Oh,
yes.
It's a cutter, but it cuts 4 different, 4 equal lines. So I have used this since I got out of culinary school, but I don't think everybody has one of these. I think everybody has a knife. So
it's called a bicycle, and it's for cutting. Okay.
Yeah.
You know
can
what I always get?
Little bitty equal lines or this size, and then you go this way. And it's perfect. It's really cool. It's called a bicycle, and you can probably get one on Amazon.
I can't wait. I know. It'll probably arrive tomorrow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, now
you said the short way, Geri, and I always get confused. So
horizontally.
Okay, so I have 2 longer pieces then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And basically, what we're going to do is we're going to cut horizontally 3 lines. So from the center, you're going to do the middle of horizontally again above that center line and horizontally below the center line. So we're going to have 4 equal pieces.
And how many biscuits should we get?
4 of these.
Okay, 4 of those.
Exactly. Then once you make those, we'll do the other way.
Okay. How many biscuits will we get out of the recipe?
We're going to get a dozen.
A dozen. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. My math skills. Okay, so I'll do there, and that'll be 12. Okay, yeah. So then once you're finished with your 3 horizontal lines, you're going to make 3 lines vertically.
Okay.
Can you put that over here?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think I've ever explained this.
Let me see again. Yeah. Because I feel like I have a rectangle of dough.
Got a rectangle of dough.
I should make it a square, right?
Yeah. And you're
make it into a square. Okay, that's better.
How's that looking, Mom?
It's looking good.
Here we go. We're a little closer now.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, you got it?
Yes.
Okay. Then basically what we're going to do is make we're going to make 2 lines so that we can have 12 biscuits.
Okay.
How do I say that in how do I say that in English?
You said it right. No, yeah.
Did I? Oh, okay.
So you got now 2 vertical.
Yeah, you've got 4 long ones, and now you're going to do 2 vertical ones so that you come up with 12 biscuits.
Okay. In the end, that's all anybody wants, I think, is the 12.
Exactly. Now, mine are a little cattywampus. I'll be honest, because this is one corner, and this is the other corner. So obviously, this one's much bigger, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter, because if you're sitting down and having dinner and everybody's complaining about their home-baked biscuits, that one is a smidge larger, then they don't deserve to be eaten homemade biscuits.
I couldn't agree more. Okay.
All right. And what we're going to do is we are going to get, John, would you bring over the baking sheet?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're just going to plop these on the baking sheet. We're going to give them some room in between each one. I have lined it. I've lined it with parchment paper. Nicole, thank you for being such a good sport, because I'm pretty much mangling the directions.
No, not at all. This is awesome. Because I can ask all my questions. I don't have to harass anybody with emails.
Not harassing.
You've always been very gracious. Thank you very much. Okay. Got my parchment.
We've got 12 of them sitting on a nice little sheet tray.
Okay, they're coming out. They're getting popped on there. Okay.
Yeah, no, that looks good. That looks good. I am going to go nuke my butter.
Okay.
So put a little bit of butter and garlic on top. We'll put them in the oven. We'll hang out booze, and then they will be ready. And we'll put one last little drip of butter on them. But I'm going to go put that in the microwave for a couple seconds. This makes me really respect Julia Child and all the rest of them who were able to do this and just, kind of go through and always look, perfect.
It looked so effortless. Everything worked out beautifully. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
They've got little people underneath their counter that hand them up stuff that's already prepped. They're like, they've just got like little small people that munch
down there.
Let me grab my butter. Okay, now we've got melted butter.
Geri, what should my oven temperature be?
400.
Okay. I'm at 350, so I'm going to do that.
Yeah. The baking mix, generally, I bake at about 400, sometimes 375. And since you cook, it's not all exactly as it's written always in the book. There's, sometimes it's raining out and your humidity is something and your barometer is something. And so you have to have enough confidence in yourself to maybe lower the temperature, maybe raise the temperature, but you've got to keep your eye on it. So that's really when you're cooking, the main thing is just keeping your eye on it and not walking away because
that's true.
You know,
That's happened, I think at least probably once to everybody at least.
oh, many times, many times. We were in a commercial kitchen at one point, and not a single oven was at the temperature that it was supposed to be. Every time I used those ovens, I had little thermometers that I would put in the ovens to gauge how close the dial was to what the actual oven temperature was. It usually was 75 to 100 degrees off, but it would bounce back and forth. I mean, it wouldn't, it
wasn't always low or always high. It just was all over.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. And then don't even ask me about hot spots. It was terrible.
Oh, yeah. Should I add garlic powder to my butter?
I'm sorry?
Should I add garlic powder to my butter?
Yeah, that's what we're about to do. We're going to take half a teaspoon of garlic salt and put that in your butter and give it a bit of a whisk. Oh, we have the same little whisk brush.
I gave up on the bristles because I find
I actually like bristle ones work better. It just feels better to me. But then somebody gets a biscuit and they always think it's hair.
Yes.
And I have blonde hair. Or that they think I'm importing the hair on my biscuits. But all right, let's just give a little brush before we put them in the oven. And then we're going to pop them in for between 15 and 20 minutes, depending on how they look when we look at them at 15 minutes.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to put mine in the oven.
Okay, I'm going to put mine in the oven too.
I put them on the center rack. I think that's the best. And I'm putting it in for 15 minutes, and then we'll check on it and see, make sure that they're all not burnt or anything awful like that. How long have you been doing keto?
So I've been, this was not my first experience with keto, but I've been 4 years was in spring. So for just over 4 years. But I'll be honest, when I first found keto, it was about 12 or 15 years ago. And I was briefly a vegan for about a year. And I was eating, burdock root, goji berries. I was eating like what became very hard to digest for me. And I ended up in the hospital with pancreatitis.
Oh, no.
Yes. And so... and I wasn't really
for health reasons or
a vegan.
Keto or vegan, or was it?
Yeah, I went vegan because it was like trendy and supposedly everybody was like living their best life and you're so clear headed and like I was like I'm gonna be vegan, like it's gonna I'm gonna be floating on the clouds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so that was about a year, and it wasn't like I was at my ideal weight as a vegan either. I was probably about 20 pounds heavier than I would have liked. And I had an event and I was fine after the pancreatitis and that. And then I just went back to being an omnivore, and I found keto through like an Eastern European like website. I feel like in the US, like it was Atkins in the US, really?
Yes.
Years ago, but it wasn't really, I've never heard of this keto, and I didn't believe it was sustainable. I thought it was something you do for 2 weeks to kind of kickstart weight loss. And then like 15 12 to 15 like years ago. I did it for 2 weeks. I think I lost like 7 pounds in 2 weeks. And then then I had my daughter just turned 6 in July. And I think after after that couple of weeks of keto, I kind of just went back to, I did like maybe a Weight Watchers or just like kind of dabbled here and there. And then after my daughter was born, when she was like about a year and a half old, I was like, I looked terrible in like a photo or something, something like that. And then I went back to keto, and I can't imagine eating another way.
Yeah. And I think most people don't understand that keto isn't really a diet. Obviously it's a diet, but you can't do this for a couple of weeks and then, well, you can go off it for a couple of weeks, but everything, the losses that you had are going to come right back. This is a lifestyle. Yeah. And you have to, there are things that we miss. So there are ways that you have to learn to get around. If you crave potato chips, you've got to find something that replaces that. Otherwise, it's not sustainable.
Agreed. I'm beeping because I only made 4 biscuits. Should I check them? I did 12 minutes.
I'm about to start beeping too. So yes, let's check them right now and take a look.
Oh my goodness. It's beautiful.
Yay. Okay. I'm going to
brush them with a little garlic.
I'm going to brush them with a little garlic, and mine are kind of big, and so they need a couple of more minutes, but let me brush them with some more garlic.
Are you guys seeing mine?
Oh, they look great.
They look great.
Yes.
Should I do a garlic brush and a couple more minutes too, Geri?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
The one thing about the bread mix is that you can't really eat everything directly out of the oven. It's very soft, and it takes a couple of minutes kind of to stabilize, I guess you'd say.
Okay.
So
cooling time is important.
Yes, cooling time is important. I'm going to here. Damn, I did exactly the right amount of butter. Aren't I clever?
Gotta love that, eh?
No. Okay. Oh, that one looks pretty groovy. All right. Here we go.
You're Dr. Seuss today with these made-up words.
That's one of my mother's words. I'm sure if you Googled it, there'd be somebody who knew what groovy was. Okay, I'm going to give mine 5 more minutes. Do you happen to have a food thermometer, Nicole?
I have a meat one and a glass candy one.
The meat one, and they should be about 205 degrees when they're done, but it's not going to do them any harm to stay in the oven as long as they're not getting too brown, because it dries out the centers a little bit.
Okay.
I think that what you should probably do is just leave them until mine are done, and we'll take them out together.
Okay, that sounds good. Is that okay? Did I turn the computer? Was that good?
I'm sorry, if you what?
That I turned the computer into my oven. Was that okay for you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, do you guys know how embarrassed I am about my shredded cheese?
Why?
Oh, you know what? It's good because we'll use it as you guys can use it as a lesson. Some people don't know that you have to shred it, that it's better to shred it yourself.
I'm going to be honest. I always try to do that. I always do. But I cook dinner for a bunch of people too, and I understand. If you have to not shred your cheese, you just also have to look at the package and say, how many extra carbs have I added?
And add it in.
So you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you've done it, you've done it. We've all done it. And we will probably all continue to do it, but you have to add perhaps 4 or 5 carbs to your daily count.
Right.
It's there. So you just got to be more.
No, but honestly, another, simple but brilliant comment was just to shred it and put it in the freezer. pull out the food processor, get a couple blocks. How long would it take, honestly? For me, not commercial, just a few minutes.
The big pain in the neck is cleaning your food processor. That is, before you put it in the dishwasher, if you don't do it by hand, if you put it in the dishwasher, you have to get all that cheese out, or else the dishwasher just cooks the cheese.
Melts it on there.
And then it's not good.
Not good. Okay, right. That's an ugly part, but
yeah.
It's still worth it, definitely. Like you said, you put a cup and a half in, you got 6 carbs at least. Okay.
And you don't have to hassle with it. You don't, if it's sitting in your freezer or in the back of your fridge, you don't have to run up to the store and get it every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should I take a peek?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to get a thermometer? Okay.
See what the temperature is.
Okay. 205. Is that
That's it. Take it out.
Let's see. They look very good.
Awesome.
Let's see.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm going to check mine.
Okay. I came out with 205.9. So
Perfect. Take
them
out and cool them on your on the pan, or if you have a cooling rack, you can do that. The cooling rack doesn't make a huge amount of difference. It just keeps the bottoms from getting moisture because they'll kind of steam on the bottom if they're still in the pan.
How did you guys develop your mix? It's been fantastic for me.
Thank you. It was just like keto, a bit of a journey. When I first started doing it, I made keto bread kind of the way everybody makes keto bread, which is with lots of eggs and almond flour. And it didn't taste bad. It tasted a lot like eggs.
At the time, I hadn't had keto bread in I started in 2011 when you first made that. It was 2016. So
yeah.
I remember I had a friend who had a bachelor party in New Orleans.
That's right. Yeah, I made you bread.
And I brought a loaf of this bread, and back then it was more like cake. Like calling it bread.
Yeah, it was more like the texture of a sweet
cake
thing.
And I mean, because I'd been, starved of good bread for so long doing keto, and I was just like, this is the most amazing. Like, even back then,
I was right before the storm. I was trying to do the thing at the farmer's market.
Yeah, you were going to do it at the farmer's market. And
yes.
I'm a soft touch. I love anything that she makes. It's all gold for me. So I'm at this. We're at this bachelor party in New Orleans. We get back at 4 a.m, and I just eat this entire cake loaf of bread all at once. And it's like, Mom, thank you. You saved me from what would have been an absolutely horrendous hangover.
Yes. But hangover too. Okay, beautiful.
But then I started experimenting because it was good. But I knew I could do better. So what I did is I got online and started really researching the different flours that I could use, and I came up with using Vital Wheat Gluten, which is basically flour that's explain it.
It's So gluten is actually a protein. It's one of the proteins that's naturally occurring in wheat flour. And so what you do is they take out all of the wheat protein from the actual whole wheat. And that way you use just kind of the isolated protein. Now, if you're allergic to gluten, obviously not a good move. But if you're not someone who has a gluten sensitivity, it gives it that authentic kind of springiness that you really only can get when you use gluten, because everything else kind of, it doesn't.
You don't get the stretch. You don't get the stretch.
Exactly.
What's beautiful about your, I've only fried your mixes. I've only made the donuts, but seeing just the sides really stretch up, even before you dig in and eat them, you just know it's going to be good.
Yeah, and it has, the thing is when you start keto, you do give up a lot of your favorite foods. There are some things that just are bad for you. They're just, you shouldn't eat tons of potato chips and plain white flour and white rice and things like that. It's just not really tremendous for you. They don't have a whole lot of nutritional value. So, you get kind of skunked. And if you can get back some of the textures that you like or that you liked before you were on keto, then you can stay on keto. If you can have a grilled cheese sandwich, we just got back from a big conference called KetoCon that they have here in Texas, in Austin.
Oh, that's awesome.
50 loaves of our bread.
Wow.
And we made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and grilled cheese sandwiches and gave them out. You would have thought that I was giving out diamonds.
They're going crazy.
They just went insane. We would have people come up and say, I hear you have grilled cheese sandwiches. Where are the drugs? I was like, yeah, we got grilled cheese sandwiches. We can hook you up.
Oh my goodness. And were you using your bread that is on the back, the recipe that's on the back of the bag?
Yep.
Oh my God. All right, that's what I'm going to make next. I'm going to tell you, because I just started, I go head first. I'm like, let's make a yeast bread. Let's fry it. Let's make it as difficult as I can. Because then, that's what I was craving, though, So I was like, and it worked. It was so awesome.
Do you want to try breaking open one of these little biscuits?
Let's do this.
Do this thing. Okay. I'm going to grab a biscuit. I can't see anything on it.
I'm correct.
Okay.
I make sure that it's still recording faces, but I'm pretty confident.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to kind of break it with my hands.
Okay.
And put it up. And then you got a nice little.
Well, it's like for a sandwich even. Or nice.
Yeah. I'm going to throw a little butter on it.
Look at how the dough stretches. This is incredible.
Okay, now you've got. It's going to be coming out very shortly, but I'm going to give you a heads up. You can make donuts with these biscuits.
She made it.
Did you?
Yeah.
I must have not had my head there. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. God, that's terrific.
With the mix. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but with you can make a biscuit.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, wait.
You use the yeast.
So we're coming up with a new donut.
Yeah, I've got a new donut recipe where you use basically this recipe minus the cheese.
Okay. And maybe. Sorry. I'm excited.
Yeah, what you'll do is you'll take the whole bag and put it in the KitchenAid, put in, I think it was 1/4 cup of sugar, a tablespoon of baking powder.
Erythritol.
Right, erythritol.
She always calls it sugar.
I do.
And I sit there and I cringe. I'm just like, oh my God.
I'm sorry.
People think it's from outer space when I say erythritol.
I know.
Be healthy. I'm like, no, it's from a plant and it's totally healthy. So
exactly. But anyhow, that's what you'll just sub out those things and then you roll it out like we did the biscuits and cut them into donut holes or full-size donuts and They're amazing.
So
I put them in the air fryer. They're even better in the air fryer than they are deep fried.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a point of contention,
Well,
Mother. I like them deep fried.
When you deep
fried.
When you deep fry them, if you put cinnamon and sugar on it,
you have to eat them all right then.
Yeah.
You have to eat them.
Eat them all right away.
That's why I didn't take any pictures of my first batch. I literally would fry them and eat them. And I was like, I didn't have any photos of that first one. And I was like, oh, wait, let me check if this one's good. Oh, okay, let me check it. And then I just ate them all. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Every
day, thank goodness. But still.
It's so exciting to, not just my stuff, but anything that has been the forbidden fruit, when you find a way to be able to include it again in your diet, that's gold.
Yeah.
I'm bite of this. Could probably cool a little bit longer.
Okay.
Thanks. You're welcome. They're pretty good.
That's so awesome. Crisp, because they have the traditional crisp biscuit outside and the flaky inside. And I don't know. I feel like the mix can do no wrong. You know what? The way, are we still videoing? Or you guys can edit me out, right? Oh. What made me first try the Ketonia mix is because you guys had like a video on Pinterest or something, and I'm not even on the internet. I don't have like a social media. But you tore open a Bavarian cream donut, and that stretch was like, because you got to be careful. There's a lot of red herrings, maybe not the right thing, but there's a lot of frauds out there and I'm like, that's literally a Krispy Kreme, people. Like, you know what I mean? And it fools people. But I saw that pull, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it. And then like literally it was real. And I was like, oh my God, it's so awesome.
Thank you so much. It's kind of like if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it tastes like a duck, it's got to be a duck.
Right. Right. But I said, and I saw, and I found you guys, you got the trusting faces. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, I think this is legit. And then literally I made them and they were like, just like in.
I'm tickled.
Oh, it was just fantastic. And like I said, 4.5 years. And I've attempted a lot of yeast doughs, and it's like, they're heavy, or they're just like, they smell weird. They just didn't do it. And they're hard, like it's hard to do, to find everything and to proof everything. And so this was just like, oh my goodness, it was just really such a blessing. So I'm excited. Yeah.
Well, Nicole, we really appreciate you coming on to our first rehab of the
Thank you so much.
Podcast.
I'm so excited. I've never been on TV. So I think my mom's like all excited.
Oh, that's so cool.
Well, absolutely stop. So this will probably be like where we end the recording.
Okay.
We'll say thanks again for coming.
Thank you so much.
And,
thank you guys.
You'll be able to tune in next Friday, and that's when we'll air it.
Awesome. Thank you, Geri and John. This is great.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Nicole.
And again, I love that sink of yours.
When you're in Chicago, you come over. We do some cooking. You use the sink. Okay.
Oh, that'll be fun to date.
Absolutely. Well, have a great weekend, Nicole. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks, Nicole. Bye.
Bye.
Is Vodka Keto is brought to you by Ketonia. For the most delicious keto baked goods, stop by ketoniafoods.com. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and follow us on all social media at Ketonia Foods. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. It does more than you know. We'll see you next Friday.